route today, San Rafael, going out and back in towards Caldes, going through a nice little town called Grasse, by the way. That's the centre of the perfume industry in France. So if you take a deep breath, you'll probably smell it as we've now gone through there, or the embarkation which was there this morning, because you can see on your screen that we've got, for the 142 riders, no less than 8 climbs during the day on the run in toward the finish. They're coming up on your screen there as well. 2 sprints as well, Les Scalier early on during the proceedings, and another one at Touré-sur-Loup. But getting towards the back end, you can see we've got some more first category climbs too there. They're called Aspenway, a first cat, a second category they're called the Châteauneuf, second category Côte de les Alpes, and the first category they're called the Pays, and the final run up to the top of the Col d'Aise. So, but now we're picking up the action live, and there you can see the green jersey of Jalabert in this group. The yellow jersey is also there, but this group now at the moment is over 3 minutes down on a breakaway group of riders, over 3 minutes down on a group of riders who are away, and the whole situation can change enormously if that group stay away. There's some classy riders in the breakaway group as we go back to the yellow jersey in this pack, with Jalabert poised with him as well. The Côte de Pays, in which they're on now, when they get over the top of this one, they're only 36 kilometres from the end of the race, 36 kilometres in all, and that first category climb, the Col d'Aise, is yet ahead of them. So the pink jerseys on the front, these are the riders from the Telecom team, and they are setting a pace for the yellow jersey, and they've got to pull back that breakaway. Before we put you in a picture about those breakaways, just to put Sean Kelly in the hot seat there, you can see 1 kilometre to go, so they've got 37 kilometres to go to the finish. They've got that climb at the Col d'Aise. Sean, can they catch that breakaway group? What do you think?
Well, I think, as you said, 3:16. It's a good advantage. I think they could hang in there, but if you look at the guys out in front, I don't think they're the best of climbers. Well, ex-Sabaria and Broylands, we believe there's five riders in the front at the moment, but what a race they've been all day. First of all, they went away at 25 riders, and then it was down to 16 riders, and now we have 5 riders in the lead, so they're after racing very, very hard. They're after tearing the legs off each other out there, so you know, it's going to be a hard climb up here to Col d'Aise, and I think it's going to be difficult for them to stay away, because the real climbers like a Frigo and a Zulla, I think they have something to prove. Like, they've lost out in the general, so they've got to do right from the bottom of Col d'Aise. That's where they can do the damage, and I think if they do it there, they can pull in all these leaders, these 5 leaders out in front.
Well, looking at them at the main field, and Sean picking up those 5 leaders saying they've just gone away. In fact, there was a group of 14 riders. In fact, it was 16 to begin with, and Maton Echeverria went off down the road. It's been sort of forming and reforming in the last 15 minutes or so, and just give you some of those names in that group that we're trying to speculate, will they stay away? Bear in mind they're ahead of this little group. The riders there: Borghi, Kirchen, Schaller, Veronk, Brilens, Flores, Villa, Bocharov, Menyon, Chevalier, Dufo and Milovic. They're all out there with Maton and Echeverria. And of that little lot, by the way, Kirchen, who looks like he's taken the King of the Mountains jersey, they're actually 33 kilometres to go to the finish of this race, so Kirchen looks like he's probably now going to pick up that jersey as overall leader. We're picking up their Broylands there, number 92, with that little group. It's split and split and split. Broylands on a general classification this morning was 3 minutes and 40 seconds down, but Kirchen is also well placed overall, but Broylands then 3:40. There's a danger man. Bocharov also in that break, 3 minutes 56 seconds down. Dufo in that break, 4 minutes 21. Milovic, who's been doing some great climbing as well, 4 minutes 44. Shari in that group, well, he's way back at 9:27. So it looks as if they probably, with Broylands now trying to get away off the front, have recognised the danger, that gap that he got, 3 minutes 40 seconds on the leader this morning. Would put him in the pound seat if he can get just a bit more of a lead away from the pack there. But well, there's a lot to play for in that main field, with just 5 seconds separating Jalabert from the yellow jersey, Vunacroft from the Telecom team. We're getting some information coming through about the riders in that group. Here they are. 22 seconds on 2 riders. Echeverria is still there, and Charrier, they're both 20 odd seconds. 30 seconds now back to Chavanez. Veronk there, Duffield, they're about 40 seconds back, just on 1 minute now. Mongeon's at 1 minute. Simon's there too, all at 1 minute. So it's splitting. More coming up. Kirchen then just over a minute back. Basso back there. Borghi, 1 minute 50. So Diaz back there. Oh, 2 minutes 30. Those up back there. Three minutes 25 seconds back to the major jerseys in this main pack you get here to Broylan's and the rest of the front. Well, Broylan's certainly driving this one. Who'd have thought that he'd been challenging for the overall classification in this competition. They've still got about 30 kilometres to go towards the end, then just under 20 miles of racing, of which the final 10 kilometres, about 6 miles, are up the Col d'Ez. Well, that's just your position now, the leading riders, and the main group contains little darts there, or little arrows showing the yellow, the green, and the other jersey popped in there, the King of the Mountains jersey. Well, that King of the Mountains jersey, I think, is going to disappear from the where at the moment, Merckx, to the man Kirchen from Luxembourg, who's been climbing extremely well. That's subject to official confirmation. Look back down there. See, this is the height of the climb. They've just come up, the Côte de Pays. And if you're looking on your maps, you'll find Nice, I'm pretty certain about that, without any difficulty at all. And the Col d'Ez that we're going to finish up already now. I won't say bathed in sunshine. There's a rather chilly wind up here, but there is a sun peeking its way through the clouds, which are a bit wispy around here, but there's a bit of a drift in the wind, a little bit on the chilly side if you're in the wind, but the spectators then gathering up the top of this climb, this very famous one, the Col d'Ez. And if you can see on your maps Nice in the bay, that's easy to pick up, isn't it? Well, you've got to go up to the right hand up from there, go along the coast, going up right direction, right up towards the northeast there, and you'll find Monaco. But between Nice and Monaco, much more in fact nearer to Monaco than to Nice, is the place Ez, E-Z-E. You'll probably find perhaps down on your map alongside the beach there, Bouillot-sur-Mer. Well, it's just north of there. We've been driving around the little back roads to get up here towards the top, because we've not had a finish at the top like this with a bunch sprint finish in recent years, and probably not at all. We've been scratching our brains. Many times the racers finished here with a time trial, but on this occasion we're taking a road race up toward the top with the remnants of the field, because we start this morning with 142 riders starting out then from San Rafael, going up to Fréjus, and then heading on towards the Col d'Ez. 142 started. Sean, I think we've had the odd abandonment so far.
Yes, we had quite a few. We had the most notable one was Van Petegem from Lotto. He abandoned Balducci, Perez, Baguette. There was the four that I got, but there was a number of other ones, I think, in between.
So a lot of tired legs down on what has been a very, very hard Paris-Nice as well. And the action coming up the next 40 minutes, he's going to win. Well, they're really rocketing along here now, and I think they've recognised there is danger with Broylan's out there. Still the time check over 3 minutes to the main group here, so Broylan's technically moving very close to being race leader on the road. Started 3 minutes 40 seconds down this morning, and again more shaking of the pack, because at Côte de Pays, Sean Kelly informed me it was Michovic who got the victory, or first over the line there, which gives him 7 points in the King of the Mountains competition. Broylan's and Botcheroff are away with him, and we didn't get confirmation of the position of Kirchen, because it's now battling out between Michovic and Kirchen for the King of the Mountains competition. The other one's beginning to dominate it today, and Merckx, who tried to get up there, had the misfortune to crash on the descent of the climb of the Col de Châteauneuf. Down he came after Michovic had got the lead on that one. In fact, Michovic has been up there quite consistently. He took the third category climb, which is the second climb of the day. Then he took the next one of the Côte de Cabri, second category climb up to 37 kilometres. Kirchen got his own back on the Côte d'Aspremont, and that was after 97 kilometres with 78 kilometres to go. And Mihajlovic got it back again on the next one, the Col de Châteauneuf. That was the second category climb. And then Kirkham got the climb, the second category climb of the Côte de Belles Alpes. And then Mihajlovic came back again on this climb of the Côte de Pelle with a 10 seconds, a 10 points bonus there as well. So I reckon marginally he's probably in the lead now on the King of Man's competition. But don't take my word for it, because we just lost Kirkham and his position on the Côte de Pelle. So it's battling between those two at the moment. Certainly out of the frame is Merckx, who did a great ride to take that jersey. He started the day with 33 points in the King of Man's competition, but he's now been overtaken by those riders. Mihajlovic, and I hope I'm pronouncing it right, comes from Croatia. Just shows you the depths of cycling talent now. We've got him here from Croatia, and I know that out there in Croatia, I've had letters and emails from the British forces out in Croatia, and we're watching it on Eurosport on the old analog system out there. If you're out there, lads, then good to have your company today. And the chap Kirkham, who seems to be challenging for that polka dot jersey, comes from Luxembourg. Not a lot of racing cyclists in Luxembourg in recent years. Of course, the greatest climber from Luxembourg, Charlie Gall, many years ago was dominant in the big climbs, and he passed winner of the Tour de France and up there in the Tour of Italy too. Then I'm sure he'd be interested to see how Kirkham is going and will he get that jersey. On the front there, I just saw Dario Cioni going out there for the Mapei team. They're very pleased indeed with the performance of Cadel Evans. Now, just to put you in the picture on Cadel Evans, he is now 13th overall, much interest to English-speaking riders, because Cadel this morning was 2 minutes 49 seconds down, and you've seen now that the chase is being taken up by the Mapei team, because Cadel on that climb we had at Montferrand was undoubtedly one of the fastest climbers on that particular ascension. So with Cadel on the climbers being a very good man at the back end here in those final 10 kilometres, he may be able to move certainly up into the top 10 places, but I'm not quite sure that he can knock over 2 minutes out of Vunderkrop, Jalabert and Roos to get himself up in the top 3, but you never know. And that final climb, Sean, you know a lot about the climb of the Col d'Ez. Just define what it's like on this particular part in the climb, and what would your tactics be coming up as a road rider racing against a mob like this, or how many left to be, I don't know, but rather than the time trial, what would be the tactics?
For, of course, first of all, if you take Jalabert's situation with Vunderkrop, I think Jalabert he has to do the damage on the first 3 kilometres of the climb, which is the most difficult for me, because after 3 kilometres it levels out a bit and it's not as difficult, and you do 2.5 or 3 kilometres and then it goes up again. So Jalabert has to push Vunderkrop in trouble right in the beginning, because if he allows him to settle into the climb and get over the first difficult bit, the 3 kilometres, it will be very difficult for Jalabert to get rid of Vunderkrop after that.
Well, there's only 40 seconds coming through between the group containing Veronk and this main bunch coming now, so they're going to close that one down very quickly indeed. And that climb then, it has had its effect on the situation in the race in the past, because you might remember last year, if you watched our coverage then, that Frigo in the time trial over 10 kilometres, in fact the actual climb itself is probably nearer to 9.5 k's I suppose, because they started on the road and then sort of flicked up a bit. That Frigo took the leader's jersey last year in the Paris-Nice. Up to then, Van Petegem had been in the lead going into that final stage. Van Petegem had kept the jersey right the way through. He took it over from Matten after the first stage. He took right the way through from the second stage. Van Petegem, who's now retired from the race, he was really shattered, I think, Sean, Van Petegem, this year. Did you have a chance to chat to him? He said this morning he didn't look too happy anyway.
No, that's true. He was very tired. He said he has suffered a lot. This race has been very hard this year. He said that it's been very, very fast, and then the route has been very, very testing. So a lot of tired legs. Van Petegem yesterday actually wanted to stop, but his director sportive said no, you cannot stop. But there you are. He's climbed off today, and Robbie McEwen is another one who was very, very tired. Although he has a touch of a chest infection, he said the racing is very, very hard. He said it's almost like the Tour of France.
Well, I think they've just come through La Turbie me. I've been trying to sort of pick up my notes, and Sean's nodding his head too. We stopped here for a spot of lunch, well, the odd cheese sandwiches, and then came on up toward the finish. We weren't allowed to go the complete route for some obscure reason, and when we tried to come in from the reverse direction, the gendarme sent us back down the climb again, and we did the last sort of 5 kilometres. So we didn't get the whole of it from now on in, but they're going to drop down quite a bit. La Turbie, a very famous name, Turbie, and through this part of the world too, many of the names will be known to sports people who follow things like the Monte Carlo, the rally here, which comes over some of these. Oh, whoops, they're going all over the place now. This is where they drop down into the depths, and then the telecom team still working hard in the front, aiding and abetting the riders from the map 18. Now, I rather think at that particular point, when the riders went left, there is a sign there saying Ez and Col d'Ez, and that's where we went in our cars. And I've got a suspicion that a rider went straight on. If we can get the action replay of that one, Sean, I don't know if you saw it, because you're making notes, so like I have to from time to time, and it looked like a rider went streaking off down that side road, and that was it. And here the map 18, it is Choney lying in the second spot just there, riding very hard indeed, and they have got right about 24, maybe 25 k's to go, steady at the buffs, easy on the brakes, you go around there. And that going back to the Ez climb last year, when Van Petegem had got the leader's jersey until the time trial. He lost 1 minute and 8 seconds on the climb in the time trial last year. Frigo then just putting 1 minute and 8 seconds into him and taking the leader's jersey. Looking down the list, in fact, Frigo knocked up to, for instance, 2 minutes out the riders who are back there into sort of 30th spot. Sandy Cazar, who's done a great ride in this race, keeps the blue jersey at the moment, the best young rider. Last year on the time trial, finished in 27th spot, and he lost 1 minute and 48 seconds in the time trial to Frigo. So a lot of time can be lost on that climb. It's been used as the penultimate stage in the Pyrenees for some time now. It got changed the year before the time trial in the penultimate stage, when the result turned upside down, when Cloden, who's retired from this race a couple of days ago, by the way, Cloden did the same thing, kept his powder dry until the final time trial up the Col d'Ez, which is on the penultimate day of the race, and he took over the leader's jersey from Brochard, who'd held it for about 3 days before him, and that was it over and done with before he went down to the finish in Nice. So that was the situation in the last couple of years when the time trial did turn the race upside down its ears. It's happened many times in the past. Let's see if the yellow jersey can survive this climb when he gets to the bottom. Well, we're watching the main field here with the riders from the Mappe team putting the pressure on this descent here. They're dropping down off the Côte de Paye, heading into, well, they've gone through La Turbie, and they're going even further down toward La Trinity, and then into Nice, when there'll be 14 kilometres to go when they touch the edge of Nice, and they start the turn to come up to Col d'Ez, and that final climb of around about 10 kilometres to this very famous and familiar finishing line. A lot of the riders begin to move forward there from the riders of the Fassa Bortolo team, and trying to close this thing down as well. They're working out on the front, and Fassa Bortolo on the general classification, not showing too well, but perhaps they're looking for another stage victory for Pataki, but somehow I don't quite think that's going to be on the cards today. It's got to be a mountain climbing specialist. We've still got a few riders up in the front at the moment. We've got 2, 4, 5. These are they, aren't they?
Sorry, we have 5 riders in the front. We have Broilans from Domo, Butcherov, AG2R, Michlovic from Alessio, Charrier from Fornac, and Nick Chavarria from Escatel.
So it sure repeats that with the numbers on. You can write them down as well. So well.
We have 92 here, Broilans, 130, Nick Chavarria, Butcherov 144, 196, Milkovic, and 183, Charrier from Fornac. And between we still have a number of riders in between. We have Kirchen and Villa, we have heard over the radio, in between this leading 5 and the bunch. So they were pointed at around 2 minutes, 2 minutes 10, and the bunch at 2 minutes 50.
So it's all up for grabs still, and the bunch then beginning to accelerate on the impetus of the riders from the Mappe team. But out here, a mixed bag of teams who are just prepared to let this. Nice to see the Phonak riders having a go here as well, because of the massive party going on. That's Charrier, 183, the Swiss rider riding for the Phonak hearing systems. They're sponsoring the race each day for the actual stage success. And that's the unusual BMC bicycle I was talking about. I think it was British Motor Corporation, but it's got some very strange looking lugs on it with holes slotted into it. Looks like a piece of Swiss cheese, actually, that tugs on that bicycle. Most unusual bicycle made in Switzerland by BMC, and please don't ask me what BMC stands for. I don't know. A new team on the block. Whoops! Don't forget to turn right, chaps, whatever you do. A bit late then, I think, with the instructions from the gendarmes, but they're all over the place now. Woof. Well, the leaders got round and the other two chaps nearly missed out on it, but that's very tricky by the time the bunch gets there in about 2.5 minutes time, so just keep your finger on. Now this is the remnants they're catching up now. You can see there are 2, 4, 6 riders who are going to find themselves absorbed back in that. They were part of the original group of maybe about, 16 riders that were away, and the speed at which the bunch is coming now, they're going to soon snaffle them up. That gap will be coming down, and probably only about 3 or 4 riders left, and you've got a new name coming up there too as well, Sean, that might just about be out there in no man's land.
Yes, well, there was, as I said, Kirsten, Villa and Matt Dan were, there's 3 of the 5 or 6 that have been caught at the moment.
So groups coming back left, right and centre, and so they'll go back into the pack and do their job for their various teammates who are better placed on the general classification, bearing in mind that rider Broylan's then from the Domo Farm Freaks team of Belgium, best placed man in the breakaway group, 3 minutes 40 seconds down this morning. Dufo from Alassio, who was also up there in that leading group earlier on, 4 minutes 20 seconds down. Good to see Dufo back in action, and still running very hard indeed. Mihalovic, the Croatian rider, also for Alassio, at 4:44 in that front group.
So we have the leading 5 riders at the moment, and the rest have all been pulled back in. 2 minutes around the 2:10 is coming over race radio, so it's coming down very quickly. We see there's a lot of teams. There's a lot of teams getting close to the front. The Mappy team is very prominent here on the front, so it looks like Cat 11 is going to have a go. So I think we will see a lot of action in the very bottom, the very start of Col Days.
Well, Cadell Evans is an amazing little character to have a chat to. I think you've had a chat to him from time to time. I have too. He's very chirpy too. He's been coming into this level of racing from being a mountain biker. He rode with the Psycho team at the back end of last year, and he used to ride on the Cannondale mountain bikes. He's now turned to ride for the Mappe team on the very super Colnago bikes. You get a chance for the cameras to go close to the Colnago bicycles. You'll see there are 2 lots of colours really. The front is the same sort of bluish, but some of them have got the black bit from where the saddle pillar sticks into the frame. You'll see that it's a sort of blackish shoe. Here we've got the Pinarello bike from the Telecom rider Wunderkraft, just stretching his little big legs there. This one in rather nice matte black and pink. But there, the light, he hasn't yet got his lightest bike, I don't think, has he? Because Jalabert is known to change his bike. And we saw him change his bike the other day. He seemed to have a much longer stem sticking out at the front and a longer saddle pin. So perhaps he hasn't yet bothered to change his bike. But if the camera goes down, I can see his wheels. He's got these ADA wheels, which have got a very large hub in the centre, and they're very extremely light. But of course, SOD's law being what it is, we can't see that because they're just chopping off the wheels and all we get to the tops of the bicycles. There you can see Chione on the right hand side. If the camera moves forward a bit, you'll see he's got a black end, a black part to his bike just on the saddle pin. That's a carbon fibre bike, the C40 bicycle it is from Colnago, whereas those are whitish coloured are the aluminium bicycle frames. Well, you can see the sort of remnants of the rushing torrents that have come down there and left just a bit of a stream meandering its way down to the sea. That's right down in Nice, and we're going to climb up to the finish at the Col d'Ez, and the top of the climb that is ahead of them is 502 metres above sea level, so you're virtually looking at the little streams going down there, down almost at sea level. In fact, it's only about 50 odd metres above sea level, so it's about 450 metres above sea level, and it really is a bit of a tough old climb to go up, and it twists and turns, and we're looking back right down in towards the sea, and back tonight to Nice for the stage tomorrow. This race, as we're getting towards the back end of it all, Sean, it's been to many people one of the hardest Paris-Nice. I know Paris is always hard, but a lot of people are saying it's as bad as the Tour de France. How do you rate it?
Well, yes, the route has been a difficult one, but I think it's the racing which has made it really difficult. The first day they took it quite easily into a headwind, but since that it's been race all day, every day, right from the start, and that's really what's taking its toll on the riders. A lot of riders very tired, as we mentioned there just some time ago. You know, even some of the director of sport leaves are saying, well, the route is a little bit too difficult for this early time of year.
Well, talking of the Tour de France, it is organised by this side of the Tour de France, and looking ahead to the Tour, they're again going to have this L'Étape de Tour, and that was being created since way back, 1933, the first time they ever had one of those. And this year they're going to have again an L'Étape de Tour, and that's going to be from Les-Mapagne and to Cluse. That's the one, that the L'Étape de Tour, and you can enter that thing and ride the course itself. It's right over on the outside, so it's well worth having a go. 141 kilometres in all, and it's a pretty tough one. There's some fairly ferocious climbs over the Comte de Roseland, the Col de Cèze, the Col d'Arabis, and the Col de la Combière. So it isn't an easy route by any means on that particular stage of the Tour de France, and it's going to be held a couple of days before the Tour gets through there. I can't in my little notes here exactly put the finger on the day when the actual the Étape de Tour takes place, but if you get in touch with people like the Tony Doyle's lot, who take people out to see the races, Graham Baxter's lot as well, and you'll see it advertised in the cycling press. They get so many places for you to get in there, and then you can ride with this great event, and it's well worth. So many people do actually go out on it now and do the Étape de Tour, and the useful thing is, by going out to this tour, you might be able to stay out there, you make your own way, and to watch the Tour de France and be in the vicinity, because we've got an interesting time trial from Renier-Durette. They're the people that supply the red wine for the village at the starts of the Tour de France each day, and we had a nice little celebration there. Went to the Renier-Durette to the caves to get a few details about the time trial, which goes to another great wine place, to Mâcon. So if you go out and ride this Étape de Tour, you can stay with the race and go and see that time trial going through the vineyards of the Beaujolais area, and then rush off to the finish in Paris to see the stage from Melun through to Paris to finish on the final day on Sunday the 28th of July. So have a look at going on the Tour, then going on the Étape de Tour and taking part in it. But the race this year goes over, for instance, on the Sunday the 21st, the Mont Ventoux. So an interesting week from the Sunday the 21st, if you go and make a week of it, getting down there to watch the stage up to Mont Ventoux, and go to the memorial to Tommy Simpson and pay your homage, and then stay with the race when it goes over Les Deux Alpes, La Pagne, Cluse, all through that part of the world. But interesting, it's got the Alps much closer to the finish in Paris than we've had for some years, and so it may all change there. I've just been reading that information off, by the way, off the Guide 2002, which I've extracted from a copy of Pro Cycling, which I scrounged off the editor this morning. Jamie Whittle was down at the start, and he gave me this up-and-coming copy of Pro Cycling, which not only has got a special guide in there of the 2002 of the teams, but also talks about the major tours as well. And in there's a list of all the teams for this year with their riders, and the riders that have changed over from one team to another. It's well worth having that in your collection, or you go and get your copy of Cycle Sport too. They've got a build-up for the teams of this year, the 2002, and on the front cover, Cycle Sport's got no less than Mr. Cipollini in his new black and white outfit, looking a bit like a zebra on two legs. There's an article then about Mr. Cipollini. Well worth having that one too, and probably also go and get your copy of Cycling Plus, because they've all begun to write up on what's going to happen this year and speculate to the season yet to come. Interesting to see on Pro Cycling, they've got a picture of Stuart O'Grady there. He's talking about the Australians in the racing season this year coming. He's had an operation, by the way, on his leg, and I don't know quite when Stu will be back in action, but he's determined this time to get the green jersey in the Tour de France, and he's reviewing the season ahead and the Australians too. And he said 6 to watch: Cadel Evans, Robbie McEwen, Brad McGee, Scott Sunland, David McKenzie and Michael Rogers. Well, we've also got 2 more Australians in this race today, Matt Wilson and Baden Cook as well. So the Australians coming in thick and fast, and I say well worth this time of year going out and getting your monthly cycling magazine, building up your library ready for the season. Now let's go up to racing. I've been sort of putting the picture on. A lot of people want to know more about cycling, so please forgive me, you expert cyclists, say, we know all about that, because we get lots and lots of people, particularly on Saturday afternoon, who are maybe watching Eurosport's coverage of the biathlon, for instance, staying with it because we've got some more skiing coming up after this particular program. Don't know anything first thing about cycling, and so they want to know, and that's why I'm plugging little things about the sport, and I don't know what to do or how to follow it. Right then, Sean, you've been watching the racing. I've been sort of building up the plugs. How's it going now, young man? Well, by the way, let me tell the viewers who don't know, you're 7 times winner of this race, 7 back-to-back, and that is greater than anybody else. Jack Armstrong won it 5 times, Eddie Merckx 3 times, Jalabert 3 times, Zoetemelk 3 times, and so here, Sean Kelly, 7 times winner. Let's have your opinion now, Sean. This has got to be worth listening to.
Well, we have the 5 leaders out in front, as we just see there. Broylands has just went ahead from that 5-man group, and we had Charrier and Milovic, who were just chasing him. But they're all the bunches on the climb now. We see Frigo, we see, is going in the attack here, and we're expecting that because we see a lot of his team riding on the front from the Tech-only team. So it was expected that he was going to attack, and he has to attack right in the beginning of this climb if he wants to make up some good time, because when you leave it, as I said, after the first 3 kilometers, it gets a bit easier, and the guys settled into the climb. Well, then it's very difficult to break them up.
Well, Frigo on this climb then, he started this morning 11th spot, 2 minutes 35 seconds down on Wunderkopf in the yellow jersey, the overall leader of this classification. Jalabert this morning at 5 seconds, Didier Roos at 49 seconds, though Didier did get that first sprint of the day, so in fact Didier Roos has now cut that deficit just by about an extra 3 seconds, so he's 46 seconds down. Will that make a difference? So there, on the right-hand side, it is Frigo again, who romped up this climb last year to win the Paris-Nice, and now he's putting the pressure on again, and that looks as if was that Kettle Evans, or was it not? One of the Mappe riders just going up the front there. Wunderkopf is beginning to go. Jalabert, I couldn't find from his team management any real feeling for it. There he is, as to whether he got the form. And what was your advice this morning to his team manager?
Well, I think the only chance that he have of getting rid of Wunderkopf was to attack early. But as we see there, Frigo was in the attack, and we had the rider from Kofidis. Kibalev was up there also. I think that was Cadel Evans was up there also, and Basso from Faso Portola. But Jalabert, we see here, he's in trouble at the start. He's lost a number of places, and Wunderkopf seemed to be riding quite strong. He was up there with the front riders as well, which close to Frigo and the leaders.
Well, it looks like that Jalabert has got to get something here to get up there, to get a second breath of wind, but doesn't look like he's going to do it right at the moment. It depends how much pressure the yellow jersey wants to put on. Well, the yellow jersey looking very comfortable indeed, as Sean was saying to Johnny Welps this morning, the team manager of Jalabert. The thing to do was to hit it hard in the first 3 kilometres, but this is the man who's done it, because they were very fearful of his ability to ride at a great rate of knots at the top, and to get up there and go comfortably on the climb if he wasn't put under pressure to begin with. He's put the pressure on everybody else. Frigo started to try and rip the thing to pieces, and now we're beginning to get the field splitting. Basso, there it is, in number 71, and they're pulling back. Looks like the remnants, some of the remnants of the early breakaway group, Sean.
Yes, that's true. We were told actually earlier that when they cut that 6-man group, it was what was in between the leading 5 riders and the bunch, but it actually wasn't. There were still riders in between, so there was some wrong information came over race radio, and we see that pulling them back very quickly now.
Well, the original leaders up there haven't yet been caught, I don't think. We've still got to understand what was sort of 5 riders up there.
Yes, we had. Well,
they're coming back now.
Yes, we had 5 riders up there, and with the 5 leaders, and then there were some riders in between those 5 leaders and the main bunch. So there's riders going back and forth. Crash.
Been a crash then, Fernandez from Cofidis, and also Roos has gone down too, or Hell delayed in it. Roos is there, and so we've had a bit of a touch of wheels down there, I think, and that's going to be rather nasty.
Fernandez from Cofidis and Roos.
Touch wheels, so both there in a moment of problems. Back on the bike, though. Sean, is it virtually every man for himself now on this particular time? I don't seem to remember there's any rest anywhere.
Well, as we see now, Zule here, Virenque and Vinogradov with Basso. We're not sure, I haven't seen where Frigo is. Is he still in this group, or is he ahead of this group with the race leader Vinogradov?
Well, this is the second group of that main pack then, with Jalabert, one of his teammates, working at the front. His team didn't seem to be too strong to support him. He's only got one rider now, and they're pulling back some of the remnants of that early break, who are really going to die at 1,000 deaths and drip further backwards and backwards. But I think probably we're going to see a change in the King of the Mountains competition as a result of that effort. But Jalabert's group trying to close the gap down now on the yellow jersey, who's riding extremely strongly. Sean, how much of this race can be judged? I mean, they've raced up it a lot in the past, these riders, but can you remember when you start the bottom of it, when you're about 2 or 3 times, just where is the best place to go, how to hang back? Just how easy to remember this climb?
Well, in our situation, it was totally different. In a time trial, you calculated your times off the other ones, and if you're starting in the back, if you're race leader, or if you're in the first 3 on Jan, you start very late, so you can work off the times of the other good time trials, and that's an advantage. But here it's every man for himself, and you just have to try and stay with the leaders. But as they say in bike racing, he's never over till he crossed the line. So Jalabert, he's lost some time here in the beginning, but he may recover, and we see a group coming back there. So it could be the group of Jalabert while coming back to the main group of Vinogradov. And sometimes a guy can go well in the early part, but he can blow later on the climb. So Jalabert, I would not say it's over from yet, but he did go through a bad patch there earlier on.
And now looks like Vinogradov struggling under the pressure of Zuller. It's Zuller who exploded and put the pressure on, and Vinogradov, who looked like he was riding comfortably with himself, suddenly found himself beginning to struggle. But Zuller this morning started 3 minutes and 34 seconds down on the yellow jersey. There's Cuesta with his hat turned back to front. There is Basso from the Fassa Bartolo team, and so it's Basso, then Cuesta, then Vinogradov, and they're picking up with one of the neutral service cars that's looking to drop in behind the main rider, but he needs a gap of 30 seconds for his allowed to, and suddenly Jalabert is going backwards more than he's going forwards. Disillusionment then for Jalabert. He has got the green jersey as the points leader, so he will keep that one. Or well, better doubly check if he's going to keep that one, but let's hope he's got something to show for his efforts on this, because as he goes up here then to this time, he's had more trouble. What is happening here? He put his hands down to his shoes. Now, that must be probably to the Velcro fastening. He wasn't going down to the old days to toe clips and straps. But do you think he's loosening his shoes up? Was his feet hurting?
Yes,
how would you work it out?
It looked like he was loosening his shoe fastener a little bit. It's probably before the climb that he tightened them up, and maybe he was starting to get cramps in his foot, and that is sometimes a mistake he can make, because the last climb you tighten them up, and maybe you just tighten a little bit too much.
Well, the yellow jersey here has know who he's got to watch, and he's got to stay ahead of the closest ones, Jalabert and Didier Roos. He's got both those two well behind him, and with the riders up in front of him, people like Zuller, 3:34, at least I'm sure he'll be getting time checks. Would Vinogradov have anybody from his team further up with watches, or will they just rely upon his team manager, Sean?
Well, I think no, he just have to rely on the team manager and get some information from the manager. Usually in the road races, they don't really have somebody on the roadside. That's more for time trialing, so he'll have to just rely on his team manager to get some information. But there's not a lot to get here. You just you calculate your ride and you just go for it, and you go very close to 100% all the time.
Well, we're inside 5 seconds, and Broylans is leading at the moment, and he's got 40 seconds behind it. Sounds like Evans is coming up here very quickly indeed. Frigo is still out there too as well, and Vinogradov. So Evans is going after Broylans. Broylans is on his own here at the front. Broylans this morning started 3 minutes 40 seconds down on Vinogradov, so Vinogradov has to close that gap down. He has done so far. Then there's Evans, then there's Frigo, then there's Vinogradov, and there's Zuller in there too as well, ripping this thing to pieces. We've got a real humdinger race. We're inside now 5 kilometres for this little group here. Wunderkraft, interesting, is riding with the SRM cranks. I've noticed there in the centre of his chainring there's a big, looks like a saucepan lid. That in fact is feeding not only information onto his handlebar computer, but it's also then recording information on the power output he's putting in here, and they take that off his computer and stick it onto a personal computer and analyse his performance. That's fascinating to think that he's prepared to carry that little bit extra weight up on this climb when the whole essence is to have the lightest possible bike, but he's fitted up that crank, which says to me he's got a great more interest in just winning the Paris-Nice in his mind. He's measuring his output as well at the same time. So Jalabert seems to be coming back after having problems with his shoes that just seem a bit tight. The problem, of course, with these new racing shoes is the very solid soles they've got, the fiberglass soles, lightweight ones they are, and the fabric on the top. If you do tighten them too much, there's no flexibility like there used to be in the old leather shoes, and I think he might have tightened that up a bit too much. So there we are, Basso on the front then, and Frigo's 35 seconds. Oh, it's all getting broken up now, but certainly Evans is up there, and Butcherov is still there, and at 40-odd seconds are some of the trailing riders from that original group. Well, we're getting lots of other riders coming over our headphones at the moment, but I think somehow that Brolin's determined here to try and get the victory, pedalling extremely neatly indeed. There you can see is Basso with the yellow jersey, and Cuesta coming up here on this climb, but a lot of riders between them and Brolin's at the moment, all spread over the place in penny numbers. Chalet there for the Phonak cheering system will be cheered on by, or Phonak hearing system, by a massive crowd of VIP people. They can see what you're seeing on an enormous screen just away from the restaurant, or the tented restaurant, and that will certainly give them something to cheer about, to see a man there from the Phonak team up there. Faso Bortolo then for the leader. Telecom here for Wunderkraft, Cofidis for Cuesta, and Phonak for the rider behind then Charrier. But up in front there's still Broilens for Dermo Farm feats. 1 minute 25 back, it says, to Broilens to Jalabert, but it looks as if possibly, though, he's coming back with this group. I don't think there can be much more than about 15 seconds between Jalabert and the yellow jersey, Sean.
Well, yeah, it's difficult because there's quite a lot of groups. There's Broilens, and then there's Cadel Evans at 20 seconds, Frigo's at 20 seconds, and then we have a group with, Vigno, Croft, Basso, Butcherov, Charrera, Cuesta, so there's riders everywhere at the moment.
The neutral service car Mavic still hovering amongst some of the riders here in penny numbers, and this is a powerful performance from Basso at the moment. Wunderkraft just staying with them, and Cuesta up there. I think Matan's probably come across too. There is another of the Cofidis riders. I know Matan was, I think, probably with the Jalabert group. In fact, no, it isn't Matan that's come up there. It's Kivilev, the Kazakhstan. So 2 Kazakhstan riders here. That's the man in the yellow jersey, Wunderkraft from Kazakhstan, and Kivilev also up there for Cofidis. With Cuesta, they could be doing rather well in the team classification as a result of their efforts they're putting in here today. They've got 2 men there, and I know certainly back in the group with Jalabert, I spotted that Matan had also made it. Back then with Broilens. This is a great ride from him, isn't it?
Yes, it certainly is. We've seen him yesterday in the final. He was riding very strong on the front of the bunch after plank out. So he seems to be coming with his pals' knees in good shape, and for him it's a great ride here today. And we see Frigo coming up to him.
And Evans coming across to Frigo too as well. This is going to be a tremendous finish here. And to think that this experienced rider Frigo, winner last year of the Paris-Nice, this morning 2 minutes 35 seconds down on Wunderkraft. He's got to work some to pull back that deficit and take the lead overall. And Wunderkraft is really trying hard with his group here. But Cadel Evans has been riding a tremendous performance, and he's surprised a lot of people, I think. And so there is 174 sitting in here. What a great ride by such a young, well, so young, he's about 24, I think he is now. But he came from mountain biking. He'd been a winner of World Cup rounds in mountain biking over the years, and he'd occasionally ride on his two slim wheels. I think his Tour of Austria did well in last year, and he's just showed talent, and he's been picked up by the MAPE team, a natural gifted rider. In fact, people are already saying, hey, a couple of years' time from now, he might be another shout for winning the Tour de France. A lot of people say that, but there's a number of Australian riders now who are bursting on the scene, and well done on your mates down there in down under, because you certainly seem to have a massive talent coming through. And here we've got Cadel Evans chasing after Frigga. They pull back Broylands. This is where it levels off a little bit, doesn't it, Sean? It's not quite so fearsome here, and I think it's almost, is it about the same ascension from here on in?
Yes, it gets a bit easier here. It levels off a bit, and it's more of a bigger gear situation, and it is like that onto the last 400 or 500 metres where it starts going downhill actually. And we see Frigga when he came to Broylands, he just went to the far side of the road and gave a bit of an effort again, not to allow him to get the wheel.
And I think that's might be Zuller that's come back here. Yes, it is, rocking his head. He was in no man's land for a bit. Here's another man. He's won the Paris-Nice in the past. Now he's stuck into this little group here. Zuller, winner of the race in 1993. The race which was run by the great Tom Simpson in 1967. He was second in 1962. Amongst the English speakers, Stephen Roche won it 81, and Sean Kelly, 7 consecutive years he was up there in the lead. Chris Boorman was third in 1996 and has been winner of the time trial in the Paris-Nice in the past, and now I'm sure if he's watching this at home, he'll just remember as Cazar's coming through here. What a tremendous ride by this young rider from the La Francis de Jeux squad. And I said in the time trial last year in this particular race, up the Col d'Ez, he did quite a useful ride indeed to finish up only about a minute and bit down on the leader, the winner last year, which was Frigga, who took the leader's jersey overall. Well, Frigga trying to get there to take the jersey again, but somehow now with 2 kilometres to go, I don't think he's going to pull back all that gap on his time at 2:35. He started this morning at just what, about 14 seconds ahead of Evans. That's right, Evans this morning 2:49 down, 2 minutes 49, Frigga 2 minutes 35 down. So he's got across to the yellow jersey as Cazar, a good little rider. In fact, Sandy Cazar this morning was only 54 seconds down on Wunderkopf. Jalabert was 5 seconds down. He's way back. Roos was 49 seconds down. So this young lad, Sandy Cazar, if they can't, or if the 2 leaders out there at the moment can't put any more daylight between them and the yellow jersey, Cazar might find himself moving up there into second spot on the general classification. But still a lot to play for, and as any cyclist knows, your legs can suddenly turn to jelly, and you can get the man with the hammer, give you a right clout, and back you go, and dying 1,000 deaths. It's just amazing how you can lose all your strength. But right now Frigga looks remarkably comfortable, and pedaling quite a lowish gear at 2, Sean. How do you rate that?
Yes, well, he's turned the gear very well. He's riding very strong at this point. We can see in the group of Wunderkopf, a lot of the riders seems to be, you know, not turning as smooth as Frigga is, but you know he's a very good climber. Last year, like he showed that in this time trial up here. So you know, he will be regretting missing that breakaway a couple of days ago, because if he had not missed that, well, then he would be in a position to win this Paris-Nice for the 2nd time. Well,
there he is then. Man who rode himself into racing oblivion, really, but because there were certain, not accusations, but he had to own up to having some illegal products, but he said he didn't take, and so they suspended him for 9 months last year, did the Italian Federation, and that put him out of the season after having a good start to the season, so put him out of action last year. Hadn't done much until he came into the sport last year. He'd been around for some time, but only won about 4 races, then came on very strong last year to win the Paris-Nice, but now the gap then, he's got to get ahead of Wunderkopf by about 2 minutes and 35 seconds, allowing 10 seconds for the bonus as well. So he's got to get 2:25 to take the yellow jersey. But somehow I don't think with that, there you can see in the distance the white tent where the Farneck people have been having their nice little lunchtime, and on the left-hand side there is the big screen showing the pictures you're seeing too as well, as Frigo sweeps in towards the finish. The clock will show up there with the gap between him and the yellow jersey as he crosses the line, the winner of the stage, and in 4 hours and 46 minutes the clock is running here as Cadel Evans comes in here. Brilliant ride by young Cadel, no doubt about it. He has done a good performance here. That's one he's, the whole MAPE people are going to be very pleased. That just 14 seconds down on him when he came through here, and the very most interest as just crossing the line then, I think that was the rider from the Euskaltel team, number 116, just crossing the line then and finishing into third spot. Sanchez, as the rest of the field sweeping in here. Here comes the yellow jersey, so it looks like he's preserved that yellow jersey, crossing the line now with 43 seconds deficit, so he certainly kept the jersey. Also in there too was Sandy Cazar, and the question is now for Sandy Cazar, how far back will Laurent Jalabert be? So Sandy Cazar coming in at 43 seconds. He started out this morning with just something like about a 50-second deficit between himself and Jalabert. We're looking in slow motion on the screen here. We'll try and keep an eye for you over the top of the finish here because they're not putting the cameras down. There's constantly this one, but Jalabert, I'm looking from our commentary point to see if he's come in yet, because 50-odd seconds, that's 90, about a minute and a half, I think. Jalabert's got to come in to stay there in second spot, because Cazar might have gone over him. And in fact, just looking now as they come across the line, and Jalabert is there at 1 minute and 35 seconds. That's going to be close. 1:35 then for Jalabert. And I'll have to do some quick sums here on the back of the old envelope, because Jalabert say 1:35, and you keep talking, Sean. I'll have a go working out the sums. What have you got to say for yourself?
Yes, well, Frigo,
like me, a bit gobsmacked.
Frigo was, you know, he was the best man on this climb, and as I said earlier on, you know, he will have regrets that he missed that breakaway. But Cadel Evans, what a ride by Evans.
Well, I don't think we're going to see much change on that at the moment for tomorrow. We've got a couple of big climbs on the way through into the finish, but it's traditional. It's a bunch sprint finish. Sean, do you see any way that's going to change? I don't want to bore the viewers, but could it just be a sprint finish for the stage when that may be what we're looking at tomorrow, or could things still change?
No, I don't think there will not change in the gel. You know, the riders are up there, are riding so strong. They're proved themselves in the last number of days on very hard stages. Tomorrow's stage is a difficult stage, but not what we've had, not the hardest one, and not near that what we've had in this Paris-Nice. So I don't see any change in the general classement.
But that doesn't mean they don't turn on and watch us, by the way. Sean Kelly and myself, David Duffield, we'll look forward to your company, because there'll be some interesting racing, and the thing is who's going to get the stage. There'll be attempts to go away, little groups going away, some chirpy chaps there. For instance, the Baden Cook and young Tim Wilson, they live just closely to here, and they might be in trying to get some chance. Sorry, Matt Wilson, they might be looking to try and win in front of their public. So there'll be many interesting things tomorrow. We'll have little stories to tell you too during the race. It goes up and down the front of the Promenade des Anglais, as the man in the yellow jersey still holding the overall lead at the moment. Kunov leads the stage.
Maintenant, il est installé à Monaco, et aujourd'hui, eh bien, il a sans doute réalisé, je dirais pas la plus belle course de sa vie, mais avec le maillot jaune, oui.
So Jalabert coming into pink jersey. Looks like the question was started and stopped in the background. So Jalabert in the green jersey yet again. Well, he's no stranger to that. Then he's had the green jersey in the Tour de France. Well, this one is actually green and white. The white bit running down below the sponsorship on the centre there. And very happy looking man. Well, he looked a bit unhappy further back when he had the troubles with his shoes and just couldn't quite hold it. But Sean, you know this man very well indeed. Do you think he'll rest easy tonight?